When football clubs pay big money for big players, they're definitely going to want to see results on the pitch. But unfortunately, that isn't always the case. So today, I'm going to be looking at 10 summer signings in the Premier League, which have either been a top signing or a flop signing. So first off, and Mateo Kovacic. Now, he was on loan at Chelsea last season, and even though they had a transfer ban last summer, they were still allowed in the clause of that loan contract to make his deal a permanent one. £40 million, and it's looking like a pretty good deal for Chelsea. Alongside Ross Barkley's inconsistent form and N'Golo Kante, who looks to be injured quite a few times this season, well, Kovacic has been a pretty good mainstay in the Chelsea midfield. Actually, even though he's only in his mid-20s, he is one of the more senior, experienced players in the team, with the likes of Tammy Abraham, Callum Hudson-Odoi and Mason Mount and Christian Pulisic, all younger than him a little bit further forward. In my opinion, I'm going to give him top signing. I think he's been a really good bit of business for Chelsea, and a quality midfielder for 40 million, that's a really good deal these days. Moving on, and to Tyrone Mings. Now, you're probably going to say, hold on, Aston Villa in the relegation zone, so how on earth can their defender actually be a good signing? Well, for 20 million, the fact that he's managed to do so well in such a poor team and work his way into the England squad really tells you something about his quality. I honestly think for 20 million, that's a really good deal. So much so that, well, there's going to be a few bigger clubs circling for Mings. Consider the fact that he actually started life as a left back as well, makes it all the more impressive. I think he has been a top signing. So next up, and one that I know is going to massively divide opinion to you guys, so let me know in the comment section below, and it's Nicolas Pepe. Okay, 72 million. Yes, he's still got years to grow into the Premier League and become a top player, but for this season, has he really been worth it? They spent so much money on him from Lille because last season he was brilliant. He was scoring goals left, right and centre, was a really key part of their counter-attacking football. This season, 32 appearances in all competitions, 6 goals, 8 assists, and playing a bit part role really. He's definitely not a key player yet. He's definitely not in every starting 11 because of his form, even though he should be on ability. And I'm not quite sure he's really worth all of that money. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he's going to be a bad player before you Arsenal fans jump on my back. He's got all the ability and all the potential to go on and be one of the best wingers in the Premier League. When he is going with his skill, with his ability, his speed, he's unbelievable. But for this season, the return of 72 million, I'm not sure it's worth it. I'm going to give Nicolas Pepe a flop. In all fairness to him, he's been under quite a few management styles this season, 3 to be exact, which isn't always easy, but he's done the darn sight better than the one that Arsenal let go, and that is the next player on this list, Alex Iwobi. Honestly, Arsenal need to be applauded for getting 34 million for Iwobi. Surely Arsenal could see that he wasn't quite living up to all that potential he showed at a young age, so the fact that Everton have bought into it, I'm not really sure how they're going to be surprised when he doesn't really produce the goods. We know he's injury prone, as Everton have found out this season, and when he's actually on the pitch, there's a lot of hard work, a lot of talent and skill on show, but not really much end product. I mean, 15 goals in 149 games for Arsenal kind of should have showed them that that's not really what he's about. This season, just 2 goals in 22 appearances. Obviously, it's difficult when you've got injuries, but I still don't think even if he was fit, he's going to be taking his game to the next level and making Arsenal regret selling him. I'm going to go for a flop signing. So we've got 2 top signings and 2 flop signings so far, but the next one has to be a top signing because it was just inevitable that he was going to move and inevitable that he was going to be such a great player. That is Youri Telemon. It's no surprise after his loan spell at Leicester last season, pretty much everyone wanted him, but they managed to bring him back for around 40 million. And like I said with Mateo Kovacic, 40 million for an unbelievable midfielder who's still young in his early 20s and has got years to progress, and technically if he sold for a lot more, make Leicester a lot of money in profit. It's an absolute no-brainer. He's been brilliant this season, scoring 5 times with 7 assists and 34 appearances in all competitions, and he's fired Leicester into the Champions League places. Of course, Telemon is a top signing. Now, next up, again, much like Nicolas Pepe, this is a massive record fee, and you guys have got to let us know in the comments whether or not this is a good signing. It's Rodri at Manchester City for 63 million. Now again, with such a big amount of money, you are expecting something big, but the problem with Rodri is, and with many like defensive players, defensive midfielders, defenders, they may not always get the recognition they deserve unless you're really watching the game closely. Rodri, when you look at his stats, may not be the most unbelievable of players or doing anything fantastic, but what he does do is so key to Manchester City. He's taken over Fernandinho's role, he keeps the ball so well, he's a brilliant reader of the game, tackles excellently, and definitely has an eye for a pass. It's just a shame that by Manchester City standards, they've been so poor this season that the defence behind him has been absolutely shocking. So you can't really say that it's his fault directly that City have been so bad. You can't say he's been unbelievable, but he definitely hasn't been a flop. I think Rodri's been really, really good, and they've got exactly what they paid for because they knew what they were getting beforehand. He is a top signing. And if that one didn't cause a stir between you guys, the next one definitely will. Harry Maguire, 80 million. 80 million Manchester United paid for Leicester. And is he 80 million pounds worth of defender? Absolutely not. Don't get me wrong, he's done well at Manchester United. He's captaining the side now. He's been part of the team that's got 18 clean sheets in all competitions. He's done really well. United have done really well. And yeah, before we go any further, he's definitely a top signing. I'm going to give United that one. But like I mentioned before, he's not 80 million pounds worth. Like, he's not 5 million pounds worth more than Virgil van Dijk, for example. He's got unbelievable ability. And as we've said, defensively, he is really, really good. But I'm kind of wondering whether or not he'd be able to lift Manchester United to that next level. And that's the kind of thing you're going to be expecting for around 80 million. If United had really poor defenders around Maguire, I think they'd still be a poor team. Whereas when they've got quite good defenders, the likes of Lindelof, who's had a good season, Wan-Bissaka especially at right back, they are looking at a more solid defensive unit. I'm not sure Maguire is in the top level of defenders, but he's certainly been a top signing for them this season. Okay, number 8 now, and much like I was talking about earlier with Tyrone Mings still shining in a poor Aston Villa side, the same thing can be said for Southampton and for Danny Ings. Now, they had a shocking start to the season, have turned their form around after Ralph Hasenhüttl, after it looked like he was destined to leave the South Coast club, and well, Ings has been a massive part of that. To be honest, it's unbelievable, his whole story altogether. Going to Liverpool from Burnley, being injured for so long and having such a knock of his confidence, to then come back and still show he's got what it takes to play in the Premier League with 15 goals and 29 appearances, well, kudos to him. And having signed a top striker, because he's producing top results, for 20 million, that is a massive bargain. He's done so well, in fact, he's throwing himself into Gareth Southgate's plans for Euro 2020. Well, Euro 2021, that is now. So from a top signing in Ings to a flop signing in Tanguy Ndombele. This one hurts me, don't get me wrong. Spurs' record signing for around £54 million has clearly shown that he just, at the moment, does not have what it takes to compete for 90 minutes week in, week out in the Premier League. Mauricio Pochettino brought him in, gave him a fair chance, and you can see when he's on the ball going forward, he's brilliant. But the work rate and the effort that he's shown under Jose Mourinho has seen him massively fall out with Spurs' new boss, and there's even been reports that they're going to try and sell him on in the summer. The problem is, if Spurs sell him on, there is no way that any team, having looked at his previous performances, is going to pay the 54 million. So Spurs are going to take a hit. I don't think they will be selling him, but they will be expecting a lot more from him next season. Tanguy Ndombele, though, is a flop signing. Of course, he can still turn it around, much like our last player on this list, Sébastien Allaire. 45 million West Ham paid Frankfurt for the big French forward, and it's no surprise given what he did last season with Frankfurt, but it just seems that whenever West Ham make a big money signing, they can't seem to get the best out of him. There are flashes of brilliance, and he's got everything you need from a powerful target man-like striker, but he's just not doing it on a consistent basis. Although on the flip side of this, neither are West Ham, so you can't exactly blame him. I mean, the same thing goes to Joel Linton. I mean, Newcastle paid 40 million to Hoffenheim from him. Both Bundesliga strikers who did well last season, both are really struggling in the Premier League, which you wouldn't really expect, given they definitely are built for the Premier League. But with Sébastien Allaire, I think he will come good if he's playing in a better team, but this season he has been a flop. So there you have it, the top 10 major signings of the Premier League last summer, or whether they've been a top signing or a flop signing. But you guys let us know your thoughts in the comments below, as I probably said about 4 times during this video. Whilst you're at it, you can also smash the like button and click here or here to check out all of the other videos we've got going on Onefootball. But until next time, I'll see you guys later.